Hey you. Yeah, you. I've noticed that almost all of you who are watching my video are not subscribed. You better subscribe. You better click that button right now. I'm watching you. Did you do it? Perfect. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed the video. 2016. What comes to mind when I say that year? If your answer was Trump becoming president or the failed coup in Turkey, then I would call you a buffoon, because right under our noses, there was a renaissance happening that no one knew about. A gamer renaissance. That's right, I am bold enough to say that 2016 was not just a good year for games, but an absolute feast for our tiny souls. Now, like Brendan Urie selling his soul to be the only panic left at the disco, I too will be selling my soul to make such an outrageous claim. I believe that 2016 was not only one of the most bountiful times, I dare to say that it was the best video game release year in the last 6 years. And I assure you that once we go through the list that you will see the error of your ways and have your mom come in to clean up your Cheeto dust mouth like the big boy you are. Starting off my MVP for the year to cast the rod deep into the year, we're starting with Persona 5.
You never see it come
Atlas, the demigods residing benevolently inside of Sega, decided to come down from their tower to provide yet another gift to us mere mortals. If you haven't heard of them, then you follow a different faith, and I have no time for heretics. Though, for a brief recap, they are a studio that are the kings of turn-based JRPGs, making such games as Persona, Shin Megami Tensei, and Trauma Center. Though 2 out of the 3 of those titles have more popularity in Japan, they still have a quality unmatched to any other game studios or games. What about me? You get out of my house right now. But until you explain your trash storylines, there is no seat at my table. Now out! Persona 5 is a turn-based dungeon-crawling waifu simulator, where you try to break into people's hearts and into the waifu of your choice's panties. When you're not trying to romance a lady or pretend you're back in high school, you're inside a cognitive reality where you're trying to beat the shit out of the mental representation of some adult in a position of power. That's right, Jeff Bezos. We've got your number. Honestly, an amazing game. The animation is smooth, the battle system has a variety of choices for different playstyles, and the visuals and audio are stunning. A game so worthy of people's time that this is its 3rd time releasing in the last 6 years, truly getting the Skyrim treatment. Moving on in the list for that year, we're going to talk about another amazing game, The Last Guardian. The Last Guardian is an action-adventure puzzle game where you partner up with Clifford the big freaky griffin and traverse a dangerous world where it's clear that the environment has been shown about as much love as the little orphan protagonist. You and Clifford traverse an abandoned castle, look for your way out from a history long forgotten. The implementation of the materials and the environment to solve puzzles, and the way the characters travel through to solve those situations is not only satisfying but makes the player feel like they are truly struggling to leave this new place. Their use of having your mammal friend also help you throughout the game gives a good sense of camaraderie. It makes it feels like this big dodo is actually here to help the character find their way home from this debilitating labyrinth. The way the relationship between this creature and you develop throughout the game as you go through these trials and tribulations really does make you feel like you are developing a real relationship with each other, and also makes it feel as if there's a special bond between the two of you, which is something that you don't get in a lot of games nowadays. The spiritual successor to Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, The Last Guardian shows as much love and charm put into the game as the previous titles. I firmly believe if you love the older titles in the franchise that this game would be right up your alley. Tight controls, amazing sound design, and a touching story about a friendship between animal and an innocent soul that somewhere in the deep depraved parts of the internet were probably turned into a perverse situation that should never see the light of day. Now, I will say that a lot of games came out that year, so I won't get into all of them, just mainly the ones I want to talk about. Because like a neglectful parent, I show my love only to my favorites. Have you ever said to yourself, I really love my dog, and then said, I really love my dog? Well, replace the dog with an owl and rip away only the implied bestiality, and we have ourselves Owlboy. Owlboy is about a young abomination that obviously got the worst of both parents' genes. This game is a platforming adventure game where you play this small Uber driver where you can fly around Tinkle's half-brother at gunpoint. It has great atmosphere, it gives a really good reason for including the wings of the mechanics of the game, and the level design is very beautiful. Other points of the sound design, the music is perfect for the game and has the music cues at the perfect moments. Along with the Mega Man style boss battles, the game gives a good urgency to each fight and makes the battle so much more rewarding once the boss is defeated. The character sprites in the game are very charming, and subtle motion in their animations bring a good amount of life to the interactions in the game. Overall, he may be a crime against nature, but Owlboy gets a clear owl over boy for me. Moving right along, we're talking about Final Fantasy 15. Now, I did play some of this game, but like any other title from Square Enix, I need a roadmap and a native translator to even understand what the hell is going on. In terms of JRPGs, it's a very solid game. It has all the inventory, party adjustments, and combat systems needed to make the game interesting enough to want to play the game. If Square Enix had decided to put as much love into every other part of this game as they did with the lifestyle options in the game, then this would have been a clear winner to a larger audience. But the resounding notion to this game is that it's purely a driving simulator with some options for fishing, camping, and chocobo riding. This game is like Sims with some fights sprinkled in. The side characters aren't super memorable except for Skippy Mechanic, who exists purely for fanfare, and Trenchcoat Man just because they shove him into the story whenever they could to make a twist ending that nobody actually cared about. Though easily the best feature in the game is these enormous chickens. Chocobo riding should not only be a rite of passage inside the Final Fantasy games, but should be the only mandatory criteria to be added to these games, since besides this feature, the rest of them are completely hit or miss as games. The soundtrack was not super memorable to me, and I could care more about watching a small child get tripped into Applebee's than the relationship between these four flamboyant boys in their sports car. What happens when a beefy New Jersey racist and a small British boy meet? You get Uncharted 4, when you play as the boyfriend of Zendaya teamed up with an old man who has beaten an elderly Asian man in his youth to find treasure, once again, for a fourth time. This time around, his wife and dead brother come along for the ride, thus making the adventure a whole family affair. Uncharted 4 is backed up with the same solid formula from all the other Uncharted games to date, making it an automatic C+, since C's get degrees even in video games. With Uncharted 4, the writers wanted to tell a story of change, and accomplishes that with all the same shooting, sneaking around, and adventure runs throughout the game while keeping a common theme with all the action in mind. If you grew up playing the games or have been following along through the years, then I do think this game had a good send-off feeling to it, as they delved into more serious feelings and relationships than they ever had throughout the rest of the series. And all this proves is that even if you look like you have a frog in your mouth, that love will always find a way. No, as the year progressed and we got all these combat-centric aggressive titles, good old Uncle Jimothy came out of the farmstead and provided us with some chicken soup for the soul. Of course, I'm talking about Stardew Valley, a game that has such a common effect on the psyche that I don't even feel the pain from my gangrene while I play. A farming adventure game with your choice of waifus and husbandos right into the mix. Whether it's traversing the mines and gathering wealths and glory, or farming the day away and then courting the local Jezebel with the lavish gifts, this game's got it all. They even include the choice for your preference of pet and whether you want to support small town business or powerful conglomerates that will lead to mom and pop shops to their demise. It's a game with a lot of charm for the simplicity of lifestyle choices you can make, while infinitely complex if you truly want to get the meta with the game, whether that be getting down as far as you can in the mines, or trying to farm the best turnip. It is truly a game for either people with voices in their head that need to be calmed down, or people with the worst of ADHD, since you can be completing a task and then completely move on to something else in an instant. With its pleasant soundtrack and bright yet simple visual, it truly was a game that was a timeless go-about. People who love things like Harvest Moon, Animal Crossing, or Minecraft had a blast on this game, and for a very good reason. Now, the last game I'm going to go on about before making my tier list is Dark Souls 3. Because you can't keep a brother down, Dark Souls 3 is like the second favorite child in the trilogy. Never quite good enough, but just inoffensive enough to not get curve stomped to the ground like Dark Souls 2. I'm gonna be real. I never really cared for Dark Souls. Maybe it's because I'm a filthy casual, or maybe it's because I have only the right opinion that Bloodborne is the true king on the Iron Throne. But that's enough about succession battles. How was Dark Souls 3? Well, it's a Dark Souls game. It's slightly faster paced, and it doesn't feel as mysterious as the first game. The map is slightly more linear, and the soundtrack is about as good as any other Souls game. It is truly the baby of the three, just as Dark Souls 2 is truly the middle child of the siblings. It resembles the oldest just enough that any indiscretions will go unnoticed, while the middle child looks different from either one, so it gets the most unwanted attention. Now, we have gone through the games that I like the most from the year. Let's finally take all the games from that year and rank them. Starting, we'll go with the games I talked about already. Persona 5, Stardew Valley, and Last Guardian are all obviously S tier. Watching from above, a mighty steeple. Dark Souls 3 for me gets a solid B alongside Final Fantasy 15, as they are not the best in their franchises, but are still very enjoyable experiences. In A tier, we will have Dishonored 2, XCOM 2, Doom, Firewatch, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Blood and Wine, Uncharted 4, That Dragon Cancer, and Unravel. As I've said, a lot of games came out in 2016, and I would read all about them, but instead I'm gonna show the rest of the tier list, cause that, I'm lazy. Now, I'm sure as you're seeing this has put everyone in their fifis, but I assure you that I do not care, because a player's gotta play, as the kids say. Haha, cash money. The other thing someone might notice is that I did not put Overwatch or World of Warcraft Legions on this list, and I did this on purpose. As a born and raised American, there are two things that I cannot stand for, and that is sexual assault and communism. And since Blizzard has failed the vibe check on either, I am abstaining from allowing them to be a part of such a beautiful year in gamer history. Take that in your pipe and smoke it, Xi Jinping. But now that you have seen my forlorn year of 2016, I must go now. Remember kids, please press that subscribe button before I send a gang of chinchillas to your home to poop on your floor and then not let you pet their cute little faces.